there, Loy Machedo, speaking to you from LoyMachedo.com. Who is Loy Machedo and Think Personal Branding? The date is June 9th, 2018. Time right now is 5:30 in the morning. Um, I happen to speak to a few clients, especially from the Middle East, like Dubai, Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain. I spoke to a couple of them, and especially Asians who have migrated to United States or Canada or London, different places, Singapore, and my most of my clients they are in the age range of 30 to 40, 30 to 50. That's the age range of people who approach me with personal branding questions or strategies or insights. They are my primary customers. I also tend to have a few 20-year-olds, but they don't form the majority. The high ticket, the people who really pay the money are in the age range of 30 to 50. And so I'm talking about people who are in the midlife stage, 30 and above, especially 40s. What I've noticed is there's a trend, and people seem to be making these mistakes, these really dangerous mistakes, which can really destroy their career. And I thought, why not speak about these 10 mistakes that people make that can really affect, impact, and destroy their career, especially all the money that they have made, all the savings that they have had. They make these mistakes, and I see this pattern. So I thought I'd make this video and address them. Okay, the first one is a guy has been working as an employee for, let's say, 15 years, 20 years of his life. And all of a sudden, he decides, okay, I'm stagnated in my career. I'm not moving ahead. My expenses have gone up. So let me start a business. So the first one is starting a business. Now, I don't know what is it that suddenly gives them this feeling that, okay, I've been an employee all this while. Now I can start a business. The nuances of starting a business, the skill level that is required to start a business, the various components of starting a business. It's not like going to the office, being an employee, and it's not as simple as that. And starting a business is not as simple as I register a company, I buy a product, I sell a product, and that's about it. No, it doesn't work that way. Because the reason I'm highlighting this is the number of people, especially expats, who have started a business or invested in a business or put a sum of money, in partnership, they always end up losing all their money. They always. You're talking of a 5-year gap, not just 1 month. 5-year gap or 10-year gap, they eventually end up losing all the money that they've invested. Starting a business is not as simple as it looks like. And not everyone is meant to start a business. There are so many people who have worked as employees for their whole life. And at a certain stage of their life, in their 40s or 50s, when they lose their job and they realize, okay, now I don't have the skills how to go to an interview. I don't know how to make my resume. My ego is really up there. I enjoyed a comfortable life. I don't want to take shit from people who are younger than me. Okay, let me start a business. Let me be my own boss. Let me be work for myself. All this sounds good, but it's not as easy as you think it is, because there are so many variables that come into play. Have you made the right? Have you evaluated the customer in the right way? Have you checked the terms and conditions? Are you legally apt? Do you have insights into loopholes of the law? What do you do if a customer defaults on its payment? What do you do if there's a cash crunch? How do you manage employees? How do you prepare a strategy that is, for the next 6 months or 1 year? How do you know when to call off a deal? These are things that come with experience. And if you were an employee all your life, you don't automatically become a businessman. There are so many people who make this mistake. In fact, I'll tell you, there are people who have been into business for 30 years. One of my friends, don't want to take his name, SK. Let me just put his name as SK. He was in business for 30 years, 30 plus, I think it's 35. He started at the age of 19. He opened up, accessories and mobile phones and parts and all that. And he was doing really well, remarkably well. He was really, really doing well. He was my good friend because he lent me money a couple of times and I lent him money, and he was a great guy. But because of the changing market conditions, he moved into smartphone, and there were ups and downs. He eventually got cheated that also after all these years, made a few bad investments, and today he is deep in the red. Imagine, after 30 years, he has lost everything, and today he has to pay the market back millions. So, what do you do? Now he has moved back into being an employee. Imagine, after 30 years of being his own boss. So, please don't think that running a business is easy. And I'll tell you this, if you were an employee all your life and you've just started a business, I can absolutely guarantee that you will lose your money. Mark my words, remember this video, remember what I've said, you will lose your money. You will burn your fingers, all the money that you saved all this while, one decision, you lose it. And after you lose it, you're not going to make that money ever again. If you do, good for you. If you're succeeded after making the business, 5 years, 10 years into business, great, I'm happy for you. You're the next multimillionaire. But the fact of the matter is, within the first 2 years, 90% of the business is shut down. Next 5 years, there's only like 1% of them, and after the 10th year, all of them go. So the first biggest mistake that most of the expatriate employees make is starting a business. That's being an employee. There are too many skills, from being a salesman to being a smart mouth, to being a manipulator, to being a handler, to being a leader. There's so many things. So first one is starting a business. The second mistake that people do after being an employee for so many years or as an expat is investing in what they don't know. I don't know, ever since this cryptocurrency came up, so many people, invest in crypto, and they don't know jack shit about crypto. They've just read whatever information that is available online, most of it's speculative, and they've invested in cryptocurrency. And now they're like, oh shit, it's not growing. Oh, I'm losing money. Oh, it's going up and down. Same people were the ones who invested into real estate. Same people were the ones who invested in the housing bubble market. When will you learn? There is no such thing as investing in something and not having a risk. Everything has a risk. Every single thing has a risk. There's no such thing as easy money, guaranteed money. If that was the case, everyone would have done that, exploited it, and all of them would be millionaires. Please do not invest in what you do not know, especially in other businesses, especially in other concepts. If you're an angel investor and you have excess money, you can spare 20% and say, if I lose it, gone. So please, and remember, investing is not just money, your time, your effort. And I've made this mistake. Many times I've made this mistake. I've invested like 6 hours, 8 hours of my day every single day for 2-3 years, only to end up with absolutely nothing. So first one, starting business. Second one is investing. Third one, the biggest mistake that most of the expatriates do is keeping up with the Jones. You were driving a Toyota Corolla all this while, or a Toyota Echo or Camry. You see your neighbor has a 4-wheel drive, has a SUV, or has one of those Hummer or Tahoe, or an expensive car, Mustang or something. All of a sudden you decide, oh, he has a Mustang, even I'll have a Mustang. He has a Hummer, why not I buy something bigger? Or you see your best friend go for a holiday to Thailand and all these exotic places. And next year, you also want to go to Thailand and all these places. Oh, you see, she had prepared such an amazing marriage for their children, invited 1,000 people. Oh, I will invite 2,000 people. Keeping up with the Jones. You do that, I can assure you, you're making a mistake. You're just digging your own grave, because keeping up with the Jones will never end. Trying to show off and trying to compete with others will never end. You will eventually lose out. Please don't do that. Point number 4. This one is very common with most of the people in the Middle East. That is staying in a job for too long. Once upon a time, there was this glory that people would say, I worked with Ford for 30 years of my life, and they gave me a gold watch, and they gave me this gold amulet and this certificate. I remember my stepfather, Frederick Pinto. He worked for Imitac, NHP. Imitac was part of Bukhatir Investments. He worked for, I think, 25 years. And every 10 years or 5 years, he used to show me this actual paper. You're talking of a paper with a printout and signature and stamp. As it stated, those days I didn't know what it meant, but obviously today I know it's certificate of appreciation. It's a printout with the signature and stamp. And you would laminate it and show it, wow, certificate of appreciation. After his 25th year, when he got kicked out, what did he do with his certificate of appreciation? He could just keep it filed. It didn't have value of being a toilet paper. And the watch and the giveaways and these gimmicks and mementos, just put it in a box and dumped it somewhere. So there's no more glory of being in the same job. In fact, if you ask me, stay in a job for the duration of your contract, and before your contract expires, 1 year or 6 months before. 1 year is better. Start looking out for another job with at least 40% increase in salary. If not 40, at least 20%. And in order to get that 20%, make sure that you're worth it. Because otherwise, given the expenses that are growing up, how would you survive? How would you achieve your goals? How would you take care of your family? How would you match inflation? So make sure that you do not stick at the same job. And there's no glory of staying more than 3 years. No glory, absolutely. And if you're staying more than 3 years, trust me, you're dying, you're depreciating, your value is going. Point number 5, one of the biggest mistake expatriate makes, most of the expatriates they make, is having this vision or this plan 30 years ahead. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? It's like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know you live or die tomorrow. You don't know if you'll have the job tomorrow. But you take a bank loan and you decide to buy this house in Kerala or in London or in Canada, somewhere, or Philippines, and you take a loan for 30 years. It's so funny. Animals don't do that. But we human beings, we work hard for the next 30 years of our life to have a house that we never stay in. But one day we can go there to die, to grow old and die. So you work 30 years of your life like a dog, work overtime, work extras, to have a house that you can retire in. And you don't know if you live that long. You don't know if you live that long. And when you do retire, you're almost going to die. So you're sacrificing today for 30 years and you don't know what's going to happen about it. Does it even make sense? It's like, I'll give you money for the next 30 years for a future I've never seen. And that is where people lose so much, because they sacrifice on their present. I'm not saying live for the moment, but at the same time, stop living for the future. Because if you die tomorrow, or you die the next 4 or 5 years, what's the point of doing all that? I know so many people who lived like a dog, suffered literally. Some of our Indians, especially Indians, they don't even buy a deodorant, they don't even go for a movie. My mother and stepfather used to buy this cheap ass $1 shampoo, which was like, just there's nothing. It's like a dishwasher. And they used to even switch off the AC and stay in the heat to save money for a future. They saved money, had these 4 or 5 properties and houses, and eventually lost everything. So they destroyed their present for a future that they hoped for, and then they lost the future also. So point number 5 is being future focused. Point number 6, This one I see very often, that is being children focused. They sacrifice their day and night just to keep their children happy, just to ensure that the child goes to the best school, the best college, has the best future, has the best marriage. And one fine day, get dumped into some old age home. And then say, oh, I sacrificed so much. Oh, 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 why? That's your fault. Who the fuck asked you to focus so much? See, having children, I understand. Giving them a good life, I understand. Don't overdo it. And trying to praise your child. My child is so smart. My child, oh, the maturity. It's like, praising the size of your genitals, saying, oh, my cock is so big, my balls are so huge, or my sex, the cum that comes out is so much. It sounds like that. Your child is smart only for you. Nobody gives a fuck about it in the real world. Nobody cares. It's like, I meet these parents, my child is so smart. So, how many millions is your child earning? How much is the child looking after you? You're looking after the child. Oh, my child can, has so much confidence to speak in public. Oh, people give standing ovation. She's good at ballet. She's good at singing. Wow, look at her painting. Yeah, the world doesn't give a fuck about your child's painting. They give a fuck about how much money they make. So is your child looking after you month after month, paying all the expenses? Yes, I salute. If not, shut the fuck up. So investing in your children so much where you forget yourself, I think it's absolutely retarded. If you're that kind of parent, all the best to you. If you believe that your children will look after you when you're old, so many people say, I don't expect anything from my children. Oh, I don't want my children to look after me. Fine. Then sacrifice yourself for your child and take care of yourself. If you can get that balance, great. There are some people who have done that. I'm not saying there are people, nobody has done that. There are some people who have put 100 million for their children and they have 500,000 for themselves, or 100 million for them and 100 million for the children, whatever. Whatever suits your boat, or rocks your boat. But don't sacrifice your health, your peace of mind, everything for your child, and not live with the reality that anything can happen. One example, this is cherry picking, okay? One example was where this actually happened in Dubai, this family, Pakistani family, where the boy, they had, I think, one girl, 4 boys, and 3 of them, the eldest, who managed to migrate to the United States, and 2 others. They went for a safari, and there were the flash floods in Oman, I think, and they all died. This is a one-off example, I'm just giving you. So it was devastating. So I'm not saying don't invest in your children, but just be careful. Point number 7 is trusting people, trusting them way too much. Keep this in mind. The people who have been cheated have always been someone whom they trusted. So your closest colleague or your relative will be the one who will always stab you. So please be careful of trusting people. Never, ever, 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 ever trust anyone with emotions and feelings. Take everything in writing. That's being smart. Because today when things are good, everything is bubbly. That's why when you get into a relationship, everything's romantic and nice. I love you, you love me. Can't live without you, can't breathe without you. All that stuff. But when things get bad, things really get bad. So trusting people, don't. Point number 8 is taking everything for granted, whether it's your relationships, your job, your boss. Like my stepfather, he used to wear the same clothes. He used to walk the same direction to the office, same location he stayed, everything same. Never went for any course, never upgraded himself, never studied anything, because obviously, you can't blame him. There was no internet also those days. When he got terminated and he lost his job, he never got a job ever after that. I think he lost his job somewhere in the 40s. So taking life for granted. Never ever take things for granted, whether it's your relationship, because even your wife, your husband can divorce you. I've seen that happen. And when that happens, you're gone, you're finished. Even it can be your health, whatever. Just don't take things for granted, because I've met people who say, they drink like crazy, like as if drinking alcohol is like drinking, just breathing. And they say, you tell them don't drink. Oh, Lord, my immune system's so strong. And they get a stroke or they get an accident. Everything changes. So please don't take it for granted. Point number 9 is being in the comfort zone. This one, I have to even hold myself accountable. We like the comfort zone. We like being in a situation where get a salary every month, everything is happy, we take everything well. So I think you should always be out there, try new risks, try new things, experiment, whether it's food or whether it's a job, whether it's a country, whether it's a relationship. Try small risks. I'm not saying big ones, small risks. Risks that you can handle. That always keeps you on the edge. Even changing your job, it brings you to a new environment, new people, new surroundings, new relationships. And this tests your mettle and makes you stronger. And last, if not the least, is not having a mindset of learning and growing. Like my simple question to you, what was the last course that you took? What was the last book that you read? What was the last seminar that you went for? What was the last workshop that you attended? You need, the world that we live in, smartphones are constantly updating themselves. Software is constantly updating. The technology is constantly changing. The internet is changing right before our eyes. New laws, new skills. Most of the jobs that are not existing 5 years ago, today are existing. So the world is changing so rapidly. So unless and until you have a mindset that is learning and growing, you're not going to sustain, you're not going to survive. So not having the mindset of learning and growing. So these are the 10 things that I believe most of the expatriates make a mistake about in the Middle East, and that can really destroy their lives. So if you identified yourself in any one of these, it's a big warning for you. I think you should not take life for granted. So I just hope you don't do any of these 10 mistakes. So like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Live from Machedo.com. Who's live Machedo? Put your comments down below. This is me signing off for now. Take care.